Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. Well, I could not wait to press record today because we have an urgent request from our resident Divine Masculine. So, if you guys have been with me for a little while, you'll have heard from this person. One of the quotes that has really stuck with us has been, where he said, "I'm as confused as you are." It's one of those things that comes up periodically throughout the readings. But I got a note from him, and he mentioned that he's as confused as ever, but as he said, things have really ramped up lately. Um, they don't seem to be going very well. He's not really sure why. He's sure he needs to be giving to this relationship. He doesn't know what that means right now or what to do. And so we're just going to kind of look into it to see what's happening and to do another Divine Masculine Messages reading because those seem to be very helpful for everyone. So most of the people watching this channel have identified themselves as the divine feminine in the situation. The person who is, if there's a runner chaser dynamic, it's the person who's doing the chasing. That's usually who's watching this video, although most of you aren't really chasing. The person who is doing the running has a tendency not to want to think about it, but we've got um, some very self-aware divine masculines who are aware that they're confused and aware that they're running and aren't exactly sure why. Can't stop but aren't exactly sure why. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on today, but we're going to do it as divine masculine messages. So it's really, the messages that they can't send. This is divine masculine messages they can't send. It's going to be a general reading. Um, and it's going to be a general reading for this collective. So it won't resonate with everybody, shouldn't resonate with everybody. If it does resonate with you, then by all means, take a look at some of the other videos that have come through in the past. They're all very much connected, so you may get some other good messages from there. And we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to get the emotional backdrop, the emotional and energetic backdrop, but we're also going to want to pull in the energy between the two of you, between you and your divine masculine, before we get into the messages. And when we get into the messages, I've got another viewer question I want to incorporate that I think helps to point this a little bit more. It makes it helpful, I think, for everybody who would be listening. So we got a couple cards there in the energetic backdrop and an emotional backdrop. Okay, so High Priestess in reverse, Page of Acorns in reverse. The Page of Acorns feels like depression. The High Priestess in reverse feels like, I mean, it's a lack of connection with a higher self, but let's get a little bit more information on that. So it's a lack of connection with the self. Seven of Acorns in the reverse. Okay. It's a lack of connection with the self, but it's associated with like a feeling of lack within the self. So there's a feeling of not necessarily not being worth it, but feeling like you have to look down to make sure you're fully dressed today and that everything matches. You know, those days where you're like, I'm just not feeling confident about much of anything. That feels like it's what's impeding this lack of connection or this connection. So it isn't so much that there is a lack of connection with the intuition. It's having a hard time following that advice, having a hard time following the intuition. And this feels, like I said, a little bit like depression. So we're going to set these off over here and maybe see what else wants to come out for that, because this is what's happening in the background, provides a little bit of context for what you see when we get into those messages. We've got the Magician in the reverse. It feels like the sort of place where you can't get organized enough to be able to make a difference. Like standing in a room where everything is really messy and you can't figure out where to start, no idea where to start with this enormous mess. And yet here you are functioning kind of like a guiding light for them. So you're functioning as a guiding light for this person, even though they're standing in this cluttered room. Um, you're helping them approach the situation, and also your emotions are kind of keeping them company, it feels like. And it's interesting because I wouldn't have expected emotions to be in that sentence. Let me grab some cards that fell, and they fell face down, so we won't use those. All right, so we've got the Four of Swords in the reverse, Four of Swords in the reverse, Three of Pentacles in the upright, ooh, and Queen of Swords in the upright, all of them part of the reading. So the Four of Swords in the reverse, really about the it's the healing that still has to be done. It's the huge gap in healing that suddenly you feel. Okay, so what I'm reminded of is there's a certain amount of healing that the two of you have been trying to do. Okay, and you're using each other for support to a certain degree, like energetically you're using each other for support for a certain degree. So you'll feel a lot of the, if something really impacts you, the impact will be felt across both of your souls and vice versa. Both of you have been going through a lot of things, and so it's not just the impact of your own emotions, it's also theirs. But you're getting to a place here, and this is kind of just what's in the energy. I think it's happening with both of you, where you're figuring out exactly where you've healed and where you haven't. So maybe something was distracting you for a little while, and the distraction has gone away, and you realize, oh, here's a place where I still feel a lot of pain, or have a tough time with things. But it's interesting because this time that you've spent holding each other up or support, from like an energetic standpoint, has actually benefited you more than you might realize, and it puts you in a better position to be able to work through the edges of that healing, the pieces where you figure out, oh, I still have some things to smooth out, some things to heal from. And in some places it's super obvious, like you would never have thought that you were done healing in that area, but there are going to be a couple of surprises in there for you. So that's true on both sides, but it means this is part of why it's ramping up. There's more to it. I mean, we are having that eclipse season. This is a season that has impact for a long time to come. Has that kind of energy, and it's so like circumstances that are arising now will be impactful for quite some time. And yet it kind of gives you that feeling of hanging, and sometimes it's been coming out almost as stagnation. It's not as much stagnation energy as it is not moving quickly, not moving to the next level quickly, not turning. The wheel is not turning quickly. But it does continue to turn. So I don't think you need to be, this is an uncomfortable situation, but you've become very good at being uncomfortable, or getting as comfortable as possible in a comfortless situation, like a situation that offers little comfort. Do you have the Lovers? We do. So this is a feeling that kind of keeps coming up. Okay, so we've seen it come up in so many readings here in the past. I'm not going to say it doesn't have impact now when I hear it come out of my mouth, but I start to feel like it. I'm waiting to see some real results from it in some cases, and in other cases I'm getting these emails from you guys saying, "Oh my goodness, it's exactly this." So there's a strong desire for your person to reach out, a strong push for your person to reach out. However, oh my goodness, the cards are just spilling out with the messages. Okay, so there's a strong desire to come together, to reach out. You almost feel like you could just pick up that phone and make it happen. Even if you've said, listen, I know it's their turn. I'm not chasing. I'm just going to let them reach out to me when the time is right, when they work through things to that, they're working through some things. Both of you are about to pick up the phone and hit send. That's the energy that's happening here. And yet, neither of you has finished with the healing. And in their case, it's a really significant amount of healing that still needs to happen. And yet, there's a lot of charisma. If they do reach out, you are particularly susceptible to this at this time, but they're still not necessarily going to be able to give you what you need. So be aware of that. Be aware that what you're doing, like at the time that you're doing it, there may be an outrageous amount of charisma here, but this person, like the steam runs out. It doesn't mean they aren't being genuine. It just more means that they don't have what they haven't got the healing done that would enable them to do this in a completely healthy way. It's not as deceptive as it might feel. But recognize they are probably going to skip back out. They're probably going to, when they run out of steam, disappear again. Communication may fall off. They're being triggered, they're being re-triggered, and they're refusing to work through something. So we have the Tower in reverse, we have the Queen of Cups in reverse. Both of you end up getting triggered, so there are some codependent tendencies that kind of want to come out here. This is the feeling of those being triggered. Does not mean that you necessarily go that way. So some of you, everyone is in a different place on the timeline, but everyone is also in a different place with their healing. And so there are going to be a fair number of you who, honestly, you've got this. You're going to get triggered and you're going to start to see those codependent pieces come out, and then you're going to recognize them for what you are. You're going to grasp them by the tail and you're going to do the healing. So when we get over here to this part of the reading, we'll look at what you want to be focused on to enable that to happen, because I feel strongly that this is an opportunity for many of you. However, it's maybe going to be a little disruptive for everybody, and that is whether they reach out and get in touch with you or not. But the desire to do so is so strong. And in some cases, on both sides, is so strong. Even for, like, you might be thinking, I don't even have to fight with the urge to contact this person very often. So, like, what is this? That's the kind of energy we have here. There's a very strong magnetism bringing you together, but lessons that aren't learned. So that was the next one that wanted to come out. Lessons that aren't learned, and yet a desire to, just at any cost, I've got to do something. And it is not a winning something. This is a kind of making a weirdly poor decision in a computer game that has no real implications, because it's going to be like game over, but it's not even saving your progress. Like, you could just throw the game. It's that sort of thing, only it's far more impactful and far more serious for the two of you emotionally, but has everything to do with trying to avoid making a change. This is your person's energy. They are willing to pretty much do whatever has to be done in order to get to a certain place. And it's difficult to say what that is, because again, it's this sense of making a very rash, very poor decision that just kind of puts you in a bad place. It's very self-destructive energy. But with this Page of Pentacles, it's not only not having learned the lesson, it is also not being especially in tune to the lesson or inclined to take on the lesson. So that's the energy that's happening here. This is a tough energy to operate in. And I want us to take something else into consideration here. So we're getting ready to get messages, and we're operating in this difficult and uncomfortable environment. We know that there's an extreme magnetism. Both of you are like, what are these messages? And so we're definitely going to, like, both sides are trying to figure out what's happening. I continue to be confused. Let's get some messages out there. But I want to add in another viewer question. So we got a question, and let me grab it over here. So it says, if this person really and truly wants to be with us, wouldn't that person do whatever they could to make it happen? Okay. And I think this may be word for word a thought that I've had. It feels like I see what comes out, and we all see what comes out, and yet it's like, hold on. Where is the initiative? Wouldn't you just make it happen? Sometimes you realize on other days they can't move forward. They have something that's keeping them from being able to move forward, but like, what is it? Tell us what is happening. These are divine masculine messages and urgent messages that they can't send, essentially, because things are so ramped up right now. We need to understand what they want to send. However, they can't seem to get these messages across in most cases, or if they do, it's super brief and then they kind of disappear again. So what's the deal? If this person really wants to be with you, why aren't they doing what it takes to make it happen? What's getting in the way of that? So we're looking for divine masculine messages, and I feel like it's getting in a little directly with, I feel like that's a great question to ask, because a lot of times we go with open-ended divine masculine messages, and I think that's perfectly fine. But today it felt like, hold on, there's an edge to it, and I feel like it's that particular edge. And this person, I thought, said it quite eloquently. Certainly something that everyone can say, I get this, I understand how this feels. Okay, so we've got the Knight of Shells in reverse. That's the quiet. We've got the Four of Shells in the upright. They're not up to it. They're not worthy. They're not feeling worthy. There's that feeling of depression that was coming through over there is very strong. They are trying to, okay, there's a sense of them trying to understand more about themselves, but it's slow going because they're not comfortable with what they find. And then we've got the Nine of Acorns over here. Still an outrageous amount of resistance, but it's like resistance, but I don't know why there's so much resistance. And this is them talking. This is their message. There is an outrageous amount of resistance here. I can't make myself do it. I can't make myself do it. Just keeps coming off of this. I can't make myself. Like they think they should. From this card, they're like, okay, it's obvious. It seems so obvious. I should just be able to write a note and hit send, and we should have a decent conversation. They know they should be able to be vulnerable. They're disappointed with themselves, which it's a very uncomfortable place to be, but it feels like that discomfort drives them farther into this. But this is the I can't make myself do it, and I feel like this is the strongest feeling out of the bunch. So these are all top line as far as I like to do that top layer of energy, and then we dig in a little bit farther here with this, and then we go to the next layer, the deep layer of energy. That's what we do in the extended. But with this top line of energy, the top most of them is this Nine of Acorns here, and this is the I can't make myself do it energy. But they're just feeling like they have an urge to be silent even when they're communicating with you. Like they're in their mind blocking you already, re-blocking you already in a way. It's interesting. It's almost like they unplug things just long enough to get a message through. And in some cases, many cases, they don't even get the message through. That further they are further disappointed by this. They want you to know this, but they don't really want you to know this. So this is messages they can't send, but they urgently wish that you understood. They aren't happy with the Three of Cups here in the reverse. Not happy at all in their situation that involves third-party energies. There may be multiple third-party energies. So it may be a family situation along with a spouse, along with work. It feels like it's an increasingly deep situation going on there, and it's really getting them right in the big three. So, we talk about the big three, that fear of rejection, fear of betrayal, fear of abandonment. They're being triggered like everywhere they turn. They're getting jabbed again, like with a cattle prod with regard to the big three. Some of you are too. But they're like, my goodness. Everywhere I go, it seems like something terrible happens, and it just makes me want to run and hide. There's a lot of them wanting to run and hide, thinking that they could handle something that they got a little bit closer to, and did not feel like they could. So that's what this, that's what this is. This is the new perspective, but it's not a happy new perspective. Sometimes a new perspective, it's like you open your eyes and you become aware of something that you're not very pleased with. And this is one of those types of things. So it's about the complexity around exiting their situation or changing their situation. In some cases, it's not a smooth exit. There's a family involved, and you don't ever make a smooth exit from family. There's potentially a relationship involved where there are children, and that's not a smooth exit. I mean, there are just a lot of things that are happening, but it feels like they're trying to make the right decisions overall. They're trying to make the best decisions for themselves, their lifestyle, their household, but they feel like a lot is changing on a regular basis. There is a feeling of, I'm going to be successful, but I feel like I'm going to miss the boat. I don't know if I'm going to be quick enough to truly get what I want. And I just I wish I could have you sitting there waiting for me when I am ready. There's still that sense of, I'm not ready. I know this is terribly inappropriate. I wish I could just come and reach out to you when the time comes and whenever I feel like it. I feel but here's the thing. In many cases they feel like they can. They feel like they would be somewhat successful if they were to reach out to you. And that is part of why you hear from some of them, because they're like, listen, I'm not solving the problem, but I do want the attention. So I'm going to reach out to you. And if I'm, potentially exhibiting some narcissistic behaviors, then, be my supply for a little while. That is the feeling coming off of this card. So I don't want to be freaking anybody out, but I mean, that's kind of the feeling coming off of this card. So no wonder they feel like they can't tell you that. That's like something they wouldn't even want to admit. And yet here's that drive to do it. This is that drunk texting, or some of these people, there's no way that they're going to be drinking. Okay. They're just not, that's not this person, but it's the overall concept of it, the lowering of the inhibitions in an unusual way, or maybe quite usual, but for whatever reason it gets over, the tide gets a little high this time. But that sense of them wanting to set things right and then come kind of come back, and you just be waiting for them, that is a strong desire that kind of comes out in here. And there's a lot of this that they do want you to know. I don't get the sense that they especially want you to know that. But I feel like they do wish they could cry on your shoulder a little bit about what's happening with this third party and their desire to hide. But the problem is, it's like they want to cry on the shoulder of the person that they're one of the people that they want to run from, and they want to run from you because they're so disappointed. It's a little bit of the cycle, because we see that I'm so disappointed in myself. It makes me want to run away. I can't seem to break the silence. I can't make myself. I can't make myself. That's incredibly strong. Little bit of an honorable mention here with the Eight of Cups in the reverse. They feel like they're kind of going around in circles trying to figure out what it is that's going to make them happy and what it is that's going to get them to a more comfortable place. Because with this Wheel of Fortune in reverse over here in the current energy, they're not getting a lot of help from the universe to kind of move them along to that next step. And they don't feel like they have a lot of the ability to do that for themselves. So we have the Chariot in reverse here, which is, that's it. That's the feeling of not really, I don't really feel like I can do this myself. It's in some cases, extreme cases, I can't even get out of bed today, and I surely don't want you to see me this way. Another, it's just really, I would like to hide. This is Page of Swords. I'm not willing to try new things. I'm not open to new things. But they are doing a lot of introspection. And I saw that over here with the Judgment card, the concept of introspection and wanting to make things right. So there's a lot of a desire to do that, and a realization that you got to cross a bridge and make a decisive change in order to do that. And yet there seems to be a difficult time making this change. This is a decision. It's a crossroads. But they're having a difficult time figuring out what to do going forward. And that's kind of their main message. They don't know what to do going forward. They're trying to make good decisions for the future, but they can't see down the road. They are a little clouded by the fact that they're feeling that sense of depression. These are all things that they kind of wish they could tell you. And then they've got and yet I feel like you'd be there when I come back, which they don't want to tell you because they know that would offend you. And rightly so, because you've been working on your self worth. And in many cases, did not come into this with extremely low self worth. A lot of you are relatively high self worth people that got into this situation that is here to teach you some lessons, but it really, really just shows you where you've got the strength and where you don't. And in some cases, many of you are not used to that. You're not used to a situation where you have to say, I don't have the strength and I'm not sure where to go to move forward. Part of what you're learning here is that. Um, but being held here in this Wheel of Fortune, Magician in reverse, both of those being in the reverse, that sort of energy, while also being triggered in this Queen of Cups way, which is that kind of that being triggered into what would be codependent behaviors. Again, I get that you're going to make short work of it, but it's also a lot of push and pull on the emotions, and that's what both of you are feeling right now. But I get the sense it's like the precursor to emotion. So I feel like something may change, shift, resolve, won't stay like it is. When we get into the extended, we're going to get into a little bit more messages from this person and just kind of see where it goes from there. It's difficult to say if we want to go into a different question after that because it kind of depends on what comes out. We'll just roll with what comes out. That's one of my favorite things to do in the extendeds anyway. They have, they're going in a little bit deeper and sometimes they don't have quite the same structure, so they might change things up a little bit. Before we go into that though, let's go ahead and look at your focus because we saw that there is some opportunity for you here and it's like opportunity for you to move forward and do something cool. So let's go ahead and look at that. Where should you be focused given what's on the table here? You've got some opportunity. What does that look like? We've got 4 of feathers in reverse. Look for the places where the healing wants to pop up. So over here, we saw that there was unhealed energy of you unhealed, as well as energy of them unhealed. 2 of acorns. This is extreme acceptance in this case. It is forgiveness. It is the feeling of a crossroads, but it is specifically a crossroads around acceptance, self-acceptance, and forgiveness. This is saying and really internalizing just being okay with who you are, where you are with things and what you've done so far. Being aware that you're on this path, but you're not at the end of it, and that's fine, because if you were at the end of it, you would turn and be on another one. I mean, there's no end to the learning, although you are it's a unique place, okay? And so it's difficult to be thankful for something that feels so difficult sometimes, and yet you're being exposed to a quality of lesson that not everyone gets, okay? This type of soulmate situation does not happen to everybody, which is why you're not able to talk to everybody about it. But there is a certain balance that's growing within you right now. Certain balance of energy that's growing within you that honestly you aren't that far off from it. You're getting to a place where in many cases a lot of you took some pretty significant scarring, I guess, emotional scarring around this situation. You are really becoming quite resilient in this situation. It's like you're redefining success. You're not necessarily deciding everything has to be done. It's like, okay, so a lot of you are past this, right? But at some point in your life, you realize, I don't have to have everything done by the time I go to bed at night. Like, there's certain things that have to get done, but there are a whole lot of things that I'm just going to wake up and they'll still be there tomorrow. This is realizing that again, crossing that bridge again, which is easier once you've done it the first time, but it's about redefining success. And even when things are a little bit out of balance, still being comfortable and being able to say, I'm going to be able to breathe right now and feel comfortable in this uncomfortable place. So it's you dealing with this current energy and making short work of the things that are going to trigger you, in addition to just kind of the energy around there. That is where your focus needs to be. You've got places where you're feeling pain, places where you're feeling like you haven't properly invested in yourself or your life. So again, with there's opportunity, and we see it again here. there's opportunity, and you're going to be like running between the raindrops fearlessly toward this opportunity. And so it's that thing that sets your soul on fire. Only at this point, it's clear that there's more than one thing that's going to get you. So you may get into a place where you need to figure out how to budget your time, figure out how to budget your energy, because you've got more than one thing kind of calling your name right now. So I get this confidence. This is a lack of anxiety. This is a Nine of Swords in reverse. Confidence, lack of anxiety, like you roll with it pretty well. It's that same sense of things can be out of balance, but you're good. With the Eight of Wands in the upright, this is where things kind of get cooking. The energy starts moving, opportunities start moving. You may get to a place where, again, you're able to create that situation where you have some distraction. Just be aware when the distraction falls away, once again, you figure out kind of where you are with your healing. That's got to be welcome, because once in a while you're going to have to get to a place where you can more or less measure the internal temperature and kind of see if things are still moving the way that they should be, if you've got some hard edges on your healing or changes that you want to make. There's guidance out here for you. It's not just me. There's other guidance out here for you that you want to be watching for and listening for. It may not come the way you expect it to. So if you didn't expect it to come from me, and then I'm just the beginning of it, also watch for it to come from people that you wouldn't necessarily expect advice from, like little kids or people that you just don't know and haven't got anything, where you don't feel like you've got anything in contact with them. There is a definite movement toward your destiny, which sounds pretty vague, and yet you'll feel it. You're going to feel it and be able to say, all right, as you reconnect with this. So this is a momentary, like the clouds forming, and then they're going to kind of move on. When the clouds move on and you're able to better interact with your intuition, and your confidence about what's coming through comes back, you're going to have a better feel for kind of, here's what moves me in the right direction, here's what I feel like doesn't, and moving you toward what is ultimately that destiny. And you're going to be able to feel when you're doing the right thing and feel when you're maybe not doing the right thing. You've got a sense of that truth, and I feel like you're ready to follow it. That does need to be where your focus is right now. So I love that sense of truth and being willing to follow it, being right there next to the star card, talking about what you're moving toward that destiny, and not taking everything that comes your direction. So we've seen some evidence of that, or we've seen that in some of the previous readings. Hey, there's some great things coming to you. Don't jump into everything. But anything that you jump into, like ride it all the way through, because there's a good chance that even if you had multiple options, one might have been more fruitful than the other. There's not a failing option. So if you decide not to do something and it's the wrong thing, you probably have another chance to come back and complete it. With the Page of Cups here in the reverse, though, what I would say is it feels like it is a not great time. Okay, that is the most direct advice. It feels like it is not a great time to reach out to your person. So if you're thinking about reaching out to them right now in this energy, and if you're also like, if you're that person that I'm talking about, where it's like you've already decided that you're not gonna pick up the phone, and it's like it's their turn next, this is the time where all of a sudden that gets challenged, and you just want to send a message. And you feel like you should be able to. You're like, whatever, I'm healed enough. I should be able to do that. I can handle what comes back or doesn't. This is advice saying it's not wise to do that. That is not advised. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take us into the extended. The link is down in the description to the video below, and we're going to start by expanding on these messages from your person. I especially want to hear more about this tendency that they feel that they have, like you'll just be there when they come back. But I'd like to see kind of whatever else comes out, because there's been a lot of good information here, and we'll see what comes from this. So we'll dig in a little bit deeper when we get to the extended. I look forward to seeing you there. And if not, I will see you in tomorrow's reading.